Landscape changes, the consequences of climate change. Today's climate change is driven by human activities. Scientists know that the warming climate is caused by human activities because they understand how heat-trapping gases like carbon dioxide work in the atmosphere. They know why those gases are increasing in the atmosphere. They have ruled out other possible explanations. Human activities have increased the abundance of heat-trapping gases in the atmosphere. This increase is mostly due to burning fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and natural gas. Carbon dioxide has increased from a pre-industrial level of 280 parts per million to more than 410 parts per million today. Most of the increase of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere has occurred since the late 1950s. In Earth's distant past, it would take between 5,000 to 20,000 years to see the amount of change in carbon dioxide levels that humans have caused in just the last 60 years. How climate change impacts landscapes on the global scale. Humans are causing global warming. This is an undisputed fact. Human activities are causing Earth to heat up in ways that are different from warm periods in the past. Since 1900, the average surface air temperature has risen 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit or 1 degree Celsius. The steepest rise began in the 1970s and continues today. And that was from the source Humans are causing global warming, 2021. As shown by the image of the woman walking through crops, a lack of rain has stunted the growth of the crops, and the ground is parched and cracked from heat and no water. No crops mean no food or more expensive food. This can lead to starvation on a global scale due to climate change. The rapid warming we are experiencing today can only be explained by increasing amounts of carbon dioxide and other heat-trapping gases in the atmosphere. The link between carbon dioxide in the atmosphere and rising global temperatures has been clear to scientists since the 1850s. Measurements show that there is more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere today than at any other time in the past 1 million years. That is, since the dawn of humankind. Next, let's look at the sea level rise and the impacts it will bring globally. Warmer atmosphere and ocean rising sea levels, changing rainfall patterns, expansion of deserts into the subtropics, more flooding in coastal areas, melting of polar ice caps, melting of glaciers, more extreme weather events, ocean acidification, extinction of animal and plant species, and food security threats for humans. The gradual increase in the Earth's temperature caused by high levels of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Today's changing climate will affect physical landscape processes around the world. In many cases, those effects are already being seen in rising sea levels, rapid permafrost, thaw, accelerated coastal erosion, increasingly severe drought and flooding, and more frequent and intense wildfire, to name a few. Sea level rise is perhaps the largest global effect that will be detrimental to humans, animals, oceans, and more. This will cause a global humanitarian crisis, homelessness, loss of businesses and crops, trillions in damages, and contamination of fresh water by salt water. In this picture in Bangladesh, located in South Asia, they are experiencing floods that cover about a quarter of the country every year. Climate change is making the floods worse, and the 156 million people in the country are learning how to live with the effects. A 1 meter rise in sea levels would inundate 20% of the country's landmass. In 2007, rising sea levels in the Bay of Bengal are encroaching on vast flat agricultural lands in the southern districts of Kulana. In 1973, 1.5 million hectares of land had mild salinity. More examples of sea level rise concerns. As evidenced by these images, globally there will be huge losses of land to the seas and oceans. Much like the USA, the British Isles, as seen in the far left photo, will also suffer negative consequences from rising sea levels. Images of how climate change impacts landscapes on a regional scale, countries and continents, rising seas and erosion, drought, wildfires, melting glaciers, and dried up riverbeds, as shown to the right. Each year, scientists learn more about the consequences of global warming, and each year we also gain new evidence of its devastating impact on people and the planet. As the heat waves, droughts, and floods associated with climate change become more frequent and more intense, communities suffer and death tolls rise. If we're unable to reduce our emissions, scientists believe that climate change could lead to the death of more than 250,000 people around the globe every year and force 100 million people into poverty by 2030. And if we aren't able to get a handle on our emissions, here's just a smattering of what we can look forward to. Disappearing glaciers, early snow melt, and severe droughts will cause more dramatic water shortages and continue to increase the risk of wildfires in the American West. Rising sea levels will lead to even more coastal flooding on the eastern seaboard, especially in Florida and in other areas such as the Gulf of Mexico. Forests, farms, and cities will face troublesome new pests, heat waves, heavy downpours, and increased flooding. All of these can damage or destroy agriculture and fisheries. Disruption of habitats such as coral reefs and alpine meadows could drive many plant and animal species to extinction. And finally, allergies, asthma, and infectious disease outbreaks will become more common due to the increased growth of pollen-reducing ragweed, higher levels of air pollution, and the spread of conditions favorable to pathogens and mosquitoes. The increasing number of droughts, intense storms, and floods we're seeing as our warming atmosphere holds and then dumps more moisture poses risks to public health and safety too. Prolonged dry spells mean more than just scorched lawns. Drought conditions jeopardize access to clean drinking water, fuel out-of-control wildfires, and result in dust storms, extreme heat events, and flash flooding. The many types of drought. There are meteorological, snow, hydrological, socioeconomic, agriculture, and ecological droughts. Conclusion: climate change will forever alter what our world looks like and how we live in it.